together for Ms. Fanny Spankings! Well, hi everyone, welcome! Good evening, Denver. Good evening, Science Riot fans at the Oriental Theater. Happy Monday night! How are ya? We are here for Science Riot! Hey! Now tonight, you will meet real-life scientists who will educate you about their job through stand-up comedy. What? They have never done this before. So tonight, we are going to give them loads of love, loads of encouragement, but I have to tell you, we won't do this alone. We have a famous comedian in the house tonight that will be helping give feedback, give constructive criticism, just all the goods to these fabulous scientists. You love them. You've seen him on Conan, Comedy Central presents The Late Late Show with James Corden at midnight. None other than Adam K. in Holland.
Please make some noise for Fanny Spankings, everybody. Fanny Spankings.
You are here to give some wonderful expertise to our performance.
Yes, I'm excited to be at my sad table for one.
We like that. We like you right here, and right front and center.
Yeah.
He's got the best seat in the house, doesn't he? Oh! So now, Adam, are you excited to see what we have lined up for you tonight?
I'm excited to be out of the house.
Hey! It's been a crazy ride, hasn't it? All right.
I'm very excited. I did this show over Zoom once during quarantine. I'm so excited to see it in person and see these comics get a live audience reaction. That's what the game's about, so I'm very excited. Also, I shout and fraud. I love watching this stuff. This is great.
That's right. It was on Zoom for a whole year, and now we're live in person. So let's get ready. Let's get excited. We have our very first guest. She happens to be a PhD candidate, okay? What? She's a materials scientist, and she thinks we need to make materials awesome again. Do you agree? Yeah! Oh yeah! She spends her time shocking things in a lab, so that means you need to be prepared to be electrified by her material. Are you ready? She's just a material girl living in a material world. Give it up for Miss Yinji Yang!
Codependent material scientist. My life depends on my roommates. The ideal work-life balance for me is watching Netflix until my bank account is zero. A material scientist works in the intersection of physics and chemistry because we can't make up our minds. Do I feel like watching Netflix or just scrolling through Netflix for hours? I can't decide. But my roommates do motivate me to become a better scientist. I sense them silently judging me for 3 days of sweatpants and takeout. The truth is that material scientists do contribute. We make the stuff that other people make things out of. Gorilla Glass for your iPhones, titanium alloys for medical implants, or carbon nanotube for your space elevators. Maybe only Elon Musk can afford it, but we do the work. Back in the old days, material science was super important. We named the historical eras after the newest thing, the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. Now we live in the information era. When did materials stop being cool? At my Chinese middle school, everyone watched anime. That's all we could talk about. Now that I'm 26, I have a problem. I refuse to call it the information era. It is the indium tin oxide age. Without this touch screen oxide, we can't play Candy Crush. Or the polyethylene age. Without this Tupperware polymer, you would be packing your lunch in a ceramic urn. My job is to try and find the next great material, especially multi-phase materials, because they are better by combining different attributes. Hard and flexible steel, strong and lightweight car frames, sweet and sour pork. As a serious procrastinator, my roommates prod me with adult responsibilities, and I'm the one that brings everyone together. When we work together, we're like a multi-phase material because everyone loves a good body comedy. I work on ceramics, which are combinations of metallic and non-metallic elements. They're used as coatings in turbine blades and other heat insulation applications. But ceramics crack easily, like Ross and Rachel. I'm trying to develop materials that are resistant to cracking under pressure, like Joey and Chandler. We used to fire ceramics in the furnace, much like pottery. Now I'm developing a more efficient process called flash sintering. This channels electricity into ceramics to consolidate them and make them harder to crack, like Phoebe and Phoebe. I like Friends, but my research is more like Rick and Morty. Aluminum oxide is Rick. He's selfish and hates working with people. Flash sintering doesn't work. But if aluminum oxide is paired with lanthanum phosphate like a naive Morty, they're much more accepting of interstellar life and death bonding experiences. The body system also works on metals. What's special about metals is that oftentimes they don't live up to common expectations. Me neither, metals, me neither. You might expect that materials need to be strong, the stronger the better, much like men's experience in the patriarchal society, like Thor before the Avengers. But that's not how it actually works. We want our materials to be soft sometimes so they can deform and absorb more energy. It's a property we call ductility, like midlife crisis, your belly sore. You are worthy, you deserve love. At least that's what I tell myself. In the automotive industry, specific types of steel with chromium and nickel are designed to be ductile, so they have the capacity to absorb the impact energy of the possible crash, so that you and I, like as passengers, don't have to. By working together, chromium and nickel softens the steel, but also strengthens it in a different way, just like me and my overachieving roommate. That's me. Thank you.
Nice job, Yinji. Nice job. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me good? That was great. How do you feel about it?
I feel great. Such a great crowd. Yay!
Nice. Let her hear it. This is particularly crazy. I've never seen a Zoom in front of a live audience before. It's very weird. There's a lot of layers. I thought you did so well. I mean, just kind of relating everything to you and your roommates. It takes a kind of complicated subject and lets us relate to it immediately. We can all get behind that. And I'm 40, you're 26, yet Friends is the universal language, apparently. So, thank you for that. I'm curious, how many times did you rehearse this?
Oh yeah, you don't want to know.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, I think you're worthy and deserving of love as well. So thank you so much for putting a nice, heartfelt lesson in there. And great job. I really enjoyed it.
Yinji Yang, everybody! Give it up! Thank you, girl! Woo! Good job! That was really trippy. We just had a show within a show within a show. I mean,
Layers, man, layers.
man, we're gonna get ready. Oh my gosh, we've got a local gal coming up next. We have a yes, right here, Colorado Spirit. Now she had okay, all right. Now we have a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Colorado. What? Hell yeah! Now she investigates neuronal connectivity. Am I saying that right? Neuronal connectivity. These are delicious words. And synaptic plasticity within the brain. What? Now, I'm pretty sure that means that it's just like how your brain likes drugs. Is that right? I'm getting that right? That's what I studied in college as well, so I'm excited to hear her take. Now, I want you to get ready. Are you ready? Let's give a warm welcome. Are you ready? Let's bring her up here. We have Dr. Kelsey Barcombe!
Hello. All right, my name is Kelsey, and despite this big-eyed infant baby face that I have, I am not actually the Doogie Howser of neuroscience. However, I am a hyper-competitive trivia nerd who's in 5 different trivia leagues, if you're only counting the virtual ones. And so, being the trivia queen that I am requires that I have an excellent memory, and I just so happen to study how memories are formed down to the molecular level. And that doesn't necessarily make me the #1 trivia player in the world, but it does make me fantastic at segues. Memories are formed by a process called neuroplasticity. And they also ensure that you never forget that time that you started crying 3 hours into a friendly game of Risk with your fiance just because you were losing, but we're not here to talk about that right now. What we're here to talk about is neuroplasticity, which just means that your brain grows and changes as you learn new things. And we even have a fun catchphrase for it, which is that neurons that fire together, wire together. And you know that if there's a fun catchphrase, that it has to be true, right? Like, diamonds are forever, De Beers. Where's the beef? Wendy's. We have your social security number. Facebook. I'm gonna pull up my notes on my phone because I keep forgetting my lines, so that's okay. So our brains evolved this process of excellent memories in order to remember how to find food and how to avoid danger, but also how to remember every single word to Bohemian Rhapsody, including Scaramouche, which, fun fact, is actually a type of clown character from 16th century Italian theater, which also inspired the 21st century clown character, the Scaramucci. Some of you remember 2017, some of you played it. And so in order to remember all of this information, our brains have to have a level of sophistication and organization that make Marie Kondo look like Oscar the Grouch. And Oscar the Grouch, fun fact, was actually orange when Sesame Street first debuted in '69. Nice. And importantly, memories aren't just some woo-woo ethereal thing like that jade egg that you bought off of Goop. You guys know the one for your vagina. Yeah, no, memories are an actual real thing that have a physical presence in your brain in the form of something called an engram. And an engram is just a pattern of cells that are connected together. Think of a pattern like in the game Simon. You guys know the game Simon? It's popular in the 90s, which, fun fact, was actually the last time that I lost family game night. It wasn't my fault, I was 5. It wasn't my fault. So basically, when your brain becomes activated by a stimulus, a handful of cells become activated, and they do this little mini reenactment of Hands Across America, grabbing each other's sweaty palms. And I don't want anyone to get any ideas, as much as we'd all love to see Tom Hanks and Dua Lipa doing a tops-only human centipede across the country. It's still too soon for that kind of touching. Not now. So the synapses that connect neurons as they're forming these chains undergo a process called potentiation, where they have more proteins added and become bigger and stronger, like Bruce Banner becoming the Hulk, or like my white girl confidence at the karaoke bar after my 3rd Tecate. And importantly, memories that are associated with a strong emotion form more stable engrams and stronger connections. So that's why you can't find your keys, but you will never forget that time that you got too drunk and flipped the table over a friendly game of Risk, But we said we're not here to talk about that tonight. However, if you did get that callback, that means you just formed an engram in your brain. And as you've been sitting here, your brain has physically changed, which hopefully gives you a real Keanu Reeves, whoa, moment. But if at the end of the day, you can't remember or recall the capital of Switzerland, probably because you had to make sure there was room for that time you peed your pants in high school, or college for me, who's asking. That's okay, because I know the capital of Switzerland and I was gonna beat you at trivia anyway.
Keep it going for Dr. Kelsey Barco, everybody. Nice job. I can't believe you did a callback and then told us how our brain was appreciating that callback. That is some layers upon. That was like watching the movie Inception and not really understanding it, but enjoying it. Also, another way to make your brain remember things is apparently to just fill it with terrifying images like Tom Hanks as a human centipede and Oscar the Grouch 69ing, which I will never, that's not gonna go away. But I decided we should call that a snuffleupagus. I don't know why, but I feel like that should be called a snuffleupagus. Well, that was great. Also the phrase, white girl confidence at a karaoke bar, I'm gonna use from here on out.
It's true, yeah.
Perfectly descriptive. Nice job, Kelsey. Very, very nice
Thank you.
job.
Now, we do want to thank our sponsors tonight. This event was put on, oh my goodness, by the University of California-Irvine STEM GPS program. What? That's some big, juicy brains right there. Thank you, California. Ooh, yes indeed.
Yeah, they recruited me pretty hard, but I had to stick to comedy.
But tonight, coming in again on the big screen, we have our next performer. Are you ready to see some more California comedy in the house? Oh yeah. Now, I have to tell you, this next comedian just successfully defended her doctoral dissertation last week, you guys. Congratulations. That's a lot of work. Now, she studies how the DNA in our cells program everything that happen in our bodies. Let's welcome Dr. Lily Lee.
Hi everyone, my name is Lily and I'm a biologist that studies how the instruction manual of the cell is written. My friends think that I make designer babies, but what I actually do is collect virgin fruit flies twice a day. I use these flies to study how small changes in this instruction manual, called DNA, can turn a regular mouse into a corgi mouse with those nubbly limbs. Now we just need to figure out how to make that adorable corgi butt. I wasn't always a geneticist. I am the granddaughter of 2 math professors and the daughter of a math professor and a lab scientist, so perfection was expected. DNA has to be perfect too, or almost perfect. Otherwise, it wouldn't work, and its parents would start secretly wishing it had gone to medical school. But the vast majority of the time, it does work. It's insanely simple and monstrously complex. It shouldn't work, but it does. I mean, your genome, or the entire instruction manual for making and maintaining you, is more than 3 billion DNA letters long. When was the last time you wrote 3 billion letters? You can barely text, "You up?" 3 billion letters. The Bible is about 4 million letters, and the ingredient list for Hot Pockets is about 1,000, as a point of reference. Stephen King writes 2,000 words a day. Even at this rate, writing 3 billion letters would take him 12 lifetimes. I think I'd rather have Nicholas Sparks writing my DNA instruction manual, though. I'm less likely to die in the sewers at the hands of a creepy clown. We used to think that having such a big genome made us hot shit. Our genome is 15 times bigger than a fruit fly. But then we found out that there are genomes 40 times bigger than ours. And of all things, they belong to plants. Good thing to know we're not even as complex as a banana. So let's get back to those astonishing 3 billion letters. DNA has instructions for what can be made in a cell, as well as when and where they should be made. What gets made are proteins, which are molecules that can do many different things. When and where proteins are made is also written in your DNA. Just as English has grammar and syntax and rules that we use to make sense of it, there are also rules for how the DNA letters are put together to make such a complex instruction manual. Even though our genome is more than 3 billion letters long, it's only written using 4 different letters. And these 4 letters are enough to describe living things as sexy as a dolphin and as unsexy as a naked mole rat. Imagine trying to text your friend using only 4 letters. That would mean that words would have to be much longer than ours are now, and it would be much easier to make typos. Think of all the times when you typed D-U-C-K when you meant to type F-U-C-K. When our cells divide and copy our DNA, they actually make very few errors, only about 1 in every 100,000 letters. But as any Asian child will know, that's not good enough. Luckily, our cells have lots of other ways of fixing most of those mistakes, kind of like having little Roombas cleaning up your DNA. For you to be effective, though, the mistakes that get missed still have to really mess up the instructions for something important. For example, in cancer, one thing that's commonly messed up is the instructions for one of those Roombas that clean up typos. That particular Roomba can even initiate a kill sequence for the cell if the typos can't be fixed, much like David Cameron initiated a kill sequence for the United Kingdom. So don't worry, your body's got you. It shouldn't work, but it does. A simple typo in the wrong place in our DNA is enough to give a developing embryo a disease like Huntington's or to prevent it from developing arms and legs. Snakes used to be like most other animals, with a piece of DNA that tells some cells to become arms and legs. Actually, scientists took this piece of DNA from other animals, like dolphins, and put them into mice, and they all worked just fine. However, when they replaced that piece of mouse DNA with a snake, they got corgi mice with only tiny nubs instead of legs. It turns out that the snakes have a typo that the Roomba missed. 17 DNA letters are missing. When they took the mice with the snake DNA and put those 17 letters back, they got mice that had normal legs again. And that's how powerful a small typo in your DNA can be. My work as a geneticist shows me that DNA is nearly perfect. As the daughter and granddaughter of professors, I think my family's DNA is perfect. Love you, Mom and Dad. Thanks for coming to my dissertation defense last week.
Keep it going for Dr. Lily Lee, everybody. Dr. Lily Lee. That was great. How did that feel, Lily?
Possibly scarier than my defense.
You nailed it. I thought, honestly, your timing was so natural. You were perfect. You paused right where the punchlines were. You let the audience react a little bit. It was like, there's a tendency to rush it when it's your first time doing it. Your cadence was just very organic. I liked it a lot. Well done on that front. I really like the 3 billion letters, and some of us can't even text you up. That's a great joke. Also, you need to tell us way more about snakes and mice DNA. That's like disturbing, and I just wanted to hear about that the whole time. And I guess I'm never going to get the chance to ask anyone as knowledgeable as you this again. could you do what they did in Jurassic Park? If a mosquito is frozen in amber, can we find it and make dinosaurs out of it? Please say yes, I need this.
Maybe. I think people are trying to do it with mammoths.
Oh, really? We're trying to do that with mammoths?
I think so.
Lily, have you made a mammoth yet?
Not yet.
Well, I'm confident you'll be able to do it if you set your mind to it. Great set. Your DNA perfect is a great closer as well. Congrats to you and your parents and your dissertation defense. Lily Lee, everybody.
We have another guest coming in on Zoom. That's right. She is very charming and very intelligent, but I have to give you a little background. Now, she is a neurobiologist. That's right. She works as an assistant project scientist. Now, actually, as her boss reminded us, she's a assistant to the project scientist, okay? I mean, like, okay. So, but she's fantastic. She's doing, she's studying genetic diseases of the brain, you guys, and how stem cells can change the world! Or at least give me a perkier décolleté. Let's get ready, meet Dr. Charlie Smith!
Hi everyone, I'm Charlie. As you might tell from my accent, I'm not from around here. No, I don't know the Queen. I moved here 6 years ago to study Huntington's disease. And since then I've married a nice Yank. But I'm not going to buy a gun. Like many good Americans, I pay my taxes, but I can't vote. So the whole Boston Tea Party thing, I get it. So Huntington's disease is named after the guy that discovered it, Dr. George Huntington. This happens with a lot of other diseases as well, like Dr. Alzheimer, Dr. Parkinson's, and Dr. Syphilis. I'm not so sure about that last one, actually. So Huntington's disease is a terrible brain disease. It's passed down genetically, and my mum thinks I'm a superhero scientist that's going to rid the world of this scourge. But I'm kind of scared to tell her about my work because I'm afraid she'll be disappointed. Why? Because all my results so far have been in its petri dish. I use brain cells that we get from stem cells. No, calm down, America. We don't use those stem cells. So we all have some stem cells in our body. They can go on to become the scientists, technologists, engineers, and mathematicians. Thanks for coming with me on that. You know where the nerds are. So, like so many of my foreign scientist colleagues, we've had to sort of be creative to adapt to your delicate political climate. So, to get stem cells, we've gone to other sources and converted them from our body cells. One really great source for this is menstrual blood. This is less invasive than other methods, but it's a very interesting way to, placate George Bush. But this might come across as, the work of passive-aggressive, socially awkward scientists, and maybe it is. But another option, which we have, is to use cells from under your armpit, your skin cells. But you might not want to have a scar there when you ask Jack to paint you like one of his French girls. So, unlike many of my friends back home, I don't have kids yet. Maybe it's all the free paid maternity leave that they get. So I've been focusing on my quarantine hobby of growing stem cells. My goal is for my stem cells to become neurons, so I can look at what goes wrong in the disease. But most of these stem cells tend to maybe want to become skin cells. It's like having your teenage child, living in your basement when you want them to go to college because they want to work on their brand as a YouTuber. So once I get a stem cell to become a neuron, I'd study the proteins that interact inside it. One of these proteins is called PIAS1. This protein accessorizes and decorates other proteins in the cell with a small protein called sumo. It's kind of like an Instagram influencer / model, and it's doing this as another terrible style fad. By the way, have you ever heard of vajazzling your vagina? I never understood that thing, and I never understood that fad. You don't know what it is? Google it when you get home, but don't do it on your work computer. So this sumo makeover is a disguise that allows different proteins to fit in, and kind of like wearing those heels to get into a swanky bar. By the way, will someone please explain cowboy culture to me? It's 2021. Do you still need fringe and tassels? So in some situations, this over-accessorizing may become problematic, meaning the protein trying to fit in doesn't behave as it should, much like Janet Jackson's nip slip at the Super Bowl. So in Huntington's disease, it seems like we have too much sumo, which is causing problems for neurons. And I'm trying to change that by canceling the Instagram influencer Pius One. A few years ago, Dr. Oz was on Oprah, claiming that stem cells were going to cure everything. Even though scientists are now testing new treatments, there are some dodgy snake oil salesmen out there peddling their wares. My stem cells will cure your arthritis and maybe your saggy face cracks. But if your product cures everything, it probably doesn't cure anything. Like a good idea involves intravenous Clorox use. A lot of times the promised benefit of these treatments is too good to be true. Like a pair of jeans that you get on Wish for $3. You can buy those jeans or inject that substance, but you're not going to look like the picture in the advertisement. So I do my research on these stem cell-derived neurons because I believe that with proper development, testing, and application, they just might be the key to cure devastating diseases like Huntington's. And maybe then I can stop worrying about being kicked out of this country like my 1776 redcoat ancestors.
Yeah. Keep it going for Dr. Charlie Smith, everyone. Nice job, Charlie. I also like the way you set yourself up in the frame. It was like you were John Lennon the whole time.
Kind of. Not on purpose.
Yeah, you're just like, don't worry, I got this, John. I'll take the mic from here. I loved how political your set was. That was great. I liked the Boston Tea Party stuff, the 1776 stuff, just kind of like, making fun of Americans a little bit, but also that George Bush, placating George Bush with menstrual blood is like the best line. That killed me. That was very funny. Is this the first time you've ever done this ever before?
Yes.
Wow. Did you practice a lot?
I practiced quite a bit, yeah.
Nice.
Maybe you should have practiced more.
Well, if you feel that way, then you're truly a comedian because the self-loathing never stops.
Well, that's also being British, I think, as well.
Well, that was awesome. Thanks so much for sharing with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Charlie Smith from California-Irvine! Yes! Okay, well now, this next presenter, this cutie is right off a plane. I'm telling you, fresh from the plane. Get over here in the rain, probably stop to get an edible on the way in, because you got to experience the Mile High City properly, you know what I'm saying? So now he happens to be a postdoctoral researcher at the University of California-Irvine. Let's find out more. Are you guys ready? Oh my God, first time in Denver here. I want you to give a lot of love to Dr. Aditya Singh.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Aditya. I'm a neuroscientist who forgets a lot of things. I do some cutting-edge research in memory, so I can come up with some scientifically accurate excuses for why I forget stuff. Being a new dad, heavily sleep-deprived, I don't want my wife to be pissed at me when I forget those lemons in the grocery list. Why do you forget the fascinating that our brains can make memories. But if you think about it, what exactly are these memories? Where do they live in our brain? Exactly. It's like the easy way to think about it is the internet of ideas and emotions, but without Wi-Fi. It's more like the local area network with all the cables inside your brain. You know. So, I use some cool gadgets to put wires directly into the brains of a rat and then study how they make memories. Now, this is exactly what Elon Musk is planning for your brain. He got the idea from me, and he did not give me any credit. Elon, if you are listening, I do accept Dogecoin. Sometimes it's hard to remember stuff, but you do not need Bluetooth in your brain to fix this. We learned some techniques today. Kelsey told us how we make memories. I can tell you some more tricks about it. Here's the thing. You can connect a boring piece of information with an interesting one and make a stable memory. Let's take an example. I visited this Colorado State Capitol, the building, yesterday in the flesh. And the 13th step of the staircase in the Colorado State Capitol is exactly 1 mile high. I know, maybe not that interesting, but if you add another fact that Denver has more marijuana stores than Starbucks, you got yourself a memory. Now you will never forget that Denver is literally a mile-high city. So I design experiments, train animals to do things, they make memories. And when I'm doing all this, I use some behavior tasks. One of the tasks is social transmission of food preference. Here's what happens. Mice use smells to share ideas. Now there's a mouse, he eats a chocolate and he likes it. He meets another mouse who's hungry. They talk, sniff each other's butts a little bit. They exchange information. The hungry guy learns that chocolate is good and he makes a memory. Now it's like Yelp review for rodents. Or maybe how your friend recommended you that restaurant, hopefully verbally. Now back in the day when I started my research, I used to implant these tiny glass windows on the skull of Jerry, a mouse. And then I would shine laser in his brain to take HD and 3D pictures of his neurons. Basically, I was a rodent paparazzi with a fancy laser pointer, using lightsabers for selfie sticks, was my kind of thing. So you can imagine it like the barcode scanner at the checkout in the grocery stores. You are holding the scanner, that's the laser, and barcode is the network of neurons in Jerry's brain. Now, when Jerry is making memories, you can literally see the barcode grow into a QR code. True story. When I zoom into Jerry's QR code, the network of neurons, as he makes a memory, I see these super tiny structures called dendritic spines. They look like the tiny leaf buds that are growing on trees all around. And yes, the neurons in your brain, they look exactly like trees, and you have 100 billion of them. Yeah, so it is a giant fucking jungle up here. And the season is always spring. Fucking allergies, man. It is highly likely that's where the memories are stored. On the leaf buds, but not on the trees outside. The microscopic leaf bud-like structures, wherever the branches of neuron connect to each other and make a synapse, as we know. Synapse is the site, most likely where the information or memory is stored in your brain. We learn a lot of things in our day-to-day lives, from laser pointers to rat sniffing birds and to now synapse and memories. Wouldn't it be nice if we could delete some of the memories that we don't want? Like, Dumbledore with his magic wand. Some neuroscientists in MIT have done exactly that. So they put our mouse Jerry in a chamber and give him a shock. It's like sending 8-year-old Harry in the Chamber of Secrets all by himself. So Jerry makes a bad memory. Now Jerry is a special mouse. He's the chosen one. So he has these special neurons that make a protein called channel rhodopsin. A version of this protein is in your eye that helps you see things. Now when Jerry is making this memory of the chamber and the shock, some neurons are storing this information, and this channel rhodopsin protein makes these neurons light sensitive. Now if I shine light into Jerry's brain, I can make that memory flash in his brain, like, Voldemort. Harry Potter. Join me in the Forbidden Forest. Who calls a kid to a forbidden forest? Anyway, so if you keep Jerry back in the chamber, he would freeze with fear. That's how we know that mouse has a memory. Now, can we change this bad memory into a good one? Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Again, they take our Jerry with bad memory and keep him in a room with another female mouse, Jenny. Now, this is the first time these two adolescent mice are meeting the opposite sex. Things are gonna get real interesting. On this day of the opportunity of the lifetime, Jerry and Jenny decide to spend all the time talking. Now, either they are serious about social distancing, or they could be from India. So they philosophize, bond over the agony of meaninglessness of their lives. And while they are bonding, we secretly shine light on those shock neurons. Now, Jerry feels weird for a second. He's about to freeze, but he says to himself, "Keep it cool, man, do not freeze." And the day goes on, they end up having a happy memory, and the shock memory in those neurons gets replaced somewhat by a new happy memory of their first date. It's like in the 90s we used to record our voices over the original audio cassettes of Bryan Adams. So now, if we keep Jerry back in the chamber, he does not freeze. Rather, you get to see the unimaginable sight of Jerry looking up in the sky, thinking about his first date, tears of joy in his eyes, playing with his magic wand. I get it. This technique is useful. You can help animals recover from trauma. But still, I am not letting Elon put a Wi-Fi router in my brain anytime soon. Unless it comes with a lot of Dogecoin. That's all, folks. Thank you.
Keep it going for Dr. Aditya Singh. Nice job, man. Really funny. Teaching us all that if you have severe trauma, just put it all on one woman. That'll make everything okay. Just pour it into her, and you'll be fine. That was really excellent. Your timing is just very natural. You take your time, your pacing was great. I also, there's a thing in comedy, they want you to say, like, who are you? Just tell the audience who you are. They want to know pretty quickly. And I'm a neuroscientist who forgets a lot of things. That's just a perfect opener. It really shows us your funny point of view about it all. I love that. That was a great line. And yeah, you're just hitting all the hits. You're topical. Elon Musk, Dogecoin. You pander local with pot in Denver. You're doing all the comedy tricks, man. And also great mic stand work with the selfie stick. Yeah, I really just kept writing down things I liked. I have no constructive criticism. I thought that was excellent. Over the course of your set, you turned our understanding from barcode into QR code, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk about eggs, baby. Let's talk about the next scientist, Kelly. Let's talk about all the badass lady parts you can and can't see. Let's talk about eggs. Ha! Was that good? I told her I'd do her salt and pepper. What? That's what I'm telling you. You want a song? I'll write you a song, baby girl. Yes, indeed. Now I have to say, this is gonna be good. I want you to give a lot of love. She came all the way from California, hey, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get ready for Kelly Mallet!
Thank you so much for that song, Fanny. I think that we are going to have to fly you out to California for my PhD defense. All right, so hi everyone, I'm Kelly. I am a biologist. I am also a bloodthirsty feminist. So naturally, I study female reproductive biology because penises are basic. Seriously, we all know that women contribute about 99.5% of the baby-making effort. It is a science fact. Everything important about you came from the oocyte, aka the egg. Why are they called eggs? I have no idea. Women got no say in the matter. So when an oocyte meets a spermatocyte, they become a single-cell monogamous zygote. I need to stress that this is not a baby. So just chill out, Tucker Carlson. Just. There are a lot of emotional and physical development steps that need to happen pre-implantation, if you know what I'm saying. First, the single-cell zygote needs to become 2, then 4, then 8, and then eventually becomes something called a blastocyst, which finally gets its shit together to move in. I should say that my boyfriend and I have been together now for 6 years, and we just moved in yesterday. It's going great, friends. So in this moving in process, DNA is the red. We go halvesies. But everything else comes from the oocyte, mitochondria, energy stores in the form of fat droplets, other things I don't care about. It all comes from the oocyte, something Vince and I are learning. So one of our favorite things to do together is watch Marvel movies. And for me, watching an oocyte destroy a sperm to become a blastocyst is like watching a superhero origin story that nobody cares about. Seriously, Captain Marvel blew Jude Law to hell and stopped an alien genocide. Still gets ignored. Patriarchy strikes again. So to make a zygote into a blastocyst, we need a lot of energy. That's what the oocyte mitochondria make. And in the developing oocyte, called the primordial germ cell, there are exactly 6 mitochondria. Let's just call these infinity stones. So these mitochondria infinity stones during oocyte development need to be perfectly genetically identical. They need to be in sync with each other because they give rise to all of the mitochondria in the oocyte, which then give rise to all the mitochondria in you. Otherwise, if one is out of line, they get disintegrated into dust. So, give me 1 second, let me just consult my notes. So once the oocyte is healthy and ovulated, we have 100,000 mitochondria in this mature oocyte that's ready to be fertilized. And let me tell you, these things are lazy. They do not like to work hard. So if they do work hard, they throw a little bit of a tantrum. They just start throwing out these rogue particles called electrons, which just destroy the cell. It's a little bit like when Scarlet Witch accidentally abducted a small town in New Jersey. Which, by the way, calling an oocyte an egg is like calling the Scarlet Witch Wanda. Who does that? Come on! So once the oocyte is fertilized, we need to start making a lot of energy on the cheap. That's where, my friends, the fat droplets come in. Now, these are a decadent source of energy for the mitochondria to just feast on. But that's not all they do. They're multitaskers. They also provide the building blocks for the molecules of the plasma membrane that encases the entire cell of all the cells in your embryos, aka they build the home for the embryo. Now that's a real man. Sperm, take notes. So the end goal of this journey is uterine implantation. At this point, other machinery in the cells starts to take over the job for the mitochondria, and the mitochondria can finally just rest a little bit, because we're locked in. It's like marriage. You know, you can finally stop caring about what Jerry Jones is doing with the Dallas Cowboys, and you can finally give way fewer blowjobs. Don't worry, Vince, at our current rate, we got like 4 years till we get there. But the work does have to start back up again for the mitochondria. They have to grow and evolve and support this new, beautiful life. It's called having kids. I don't know, I don't have any, because I spent the majority of my prime baby-making years getting a PhD in the science of barren women. Because even fertile penises are too basic. That's my time. Thank you, guys.
Penises are basic. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about mine. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you know.
Similar to the previous comedian, I love that you just said exactly who you are as soon as you came out. I'm a biologist and a bloodthirsty feminist. Boom, we like you already. It's just perfect. And I also kind of liked your whole just tone of being sort of over it. You were just like there were examples like other things I don't care about. You called something oocytes lazy, or maybe it was
the mitochondria.
Mitochondria lazy. I just really like that because that's not something you see. Everyone's coming up here and they're such an expert, and you're just kind of like, take this or leave it, fuck it, I'm over it.
That's what happens when you're at the end of your PhD.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you for bringing that energy to your set. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to kick off the second half here with a professor. Yes, indeed. A professor, and he happens to be a quantum researcher at the Colorado School of Mines. Yes, a local superstar. I want you to give a lot of love and welcome to the stage, Dr. Lincoln Carr.
Hello, fellow science lovers. So what is the quantum? The quantum comes in two parts. The first part is entanglement. This is the fundamental interconnectedness we all feel at the intuitive level, but in fact exists at the foundations of the universe. Yes, the universe is a whole bunch of feelings. For example, light can be split in two. One photon, that's a piece of light. Let's call it mom. Down converts into two daughter photons when it passes through a nonlinear crystal. Each daughter contains information about the other. Let's call these kids Mary Kate and Ashley. Now, if you look at Mary Kate's photon through a polarizer like ski goggles and turn your head, then Ashley's photon turns sideways. No matter how far away it is, this is entanglement. They are interconnected. Whoa. But you know, we feel this all the time. It's not just photons. It's everything, including people. You probably know what children or your partner are doing right now. For example, my boys are watching animes while smashing Doritos into their faces on the couch. Part two of quantum mechanics is qubits. These are spheres of possibility, like a box of chocolates. Sometimes you get something great, like cashew caramel. Sometimes you get something god-awful, like coconut cream. People have their preferences. You're going to hear more about that in the set. Okay. The north and south pole of the sphere are true and false, 1 and 0, or black and white. In between, there is a latitude and a longitude, or two angles that determine shades of gray, and there are more than 50. Folks, quantum logic is kinky. For example, both true and false are usually thought of as a paradox in binary logic, but in kinky logic, it's perfectly fine to be bisexual. All right. Bisexual is on the equator of the qubit, halfway between 1 and 0, north and south, black and white, gay and straight. All right. So what are quantum computers? Quantum computers are lots of qubits entangled with each other. Basically, quantum computing is an endless orgy. Qubits and entanglement are new to computing and provide extraordinary resources. Entanglement allows qubits to multiply, not add like classical bits. Suppose we built a massive computer in outer space out of every atom in 10,000 Earths. 180 quantum bits could outcompute that computer. We call this quantum supremacy. Right now, we already have 53 qubits entangled at Google. Yes, Google. In October 2019, Google's quantum computer beat every supercomputer in the world in a secret lab in California. Now, I've been there, but if I told you where it is, they'd probably kill me, or at least delete all my Google Docs, which would be pretty much the same thing. So, what are quantum bits actually? Well, they're little current loops on a specialized computer chip dangling at the bottom of a super fridge 1,000 times colder than outer space. Remember, Google equals quantum supremacy. So folks, we're facing serious resource limits on this planet. We're running out of energy, and I don't just mean those of us over 35 after 9 p.m. How you feeling? Now, we can't fix the energy problem because without understanding photosynthesis, there's no artificial photosynthesis because we can't understand its possible quantum nature. Same problem with making fertilizer without fossil fuels. We can't. It's just too hard for classical computers. The next problem is we're running out of computing power, even faster than fossil fuel. In fact, if we stay on Moore's law, by 2040, all energy in the world will be used for classical computers. That is a lot of porn and cats. Good news, science lovers. Quantum computing is here to save the world. Woo! All right. So quantum computers come in many forms. My two favorites are the quantum simulator, which is a quantum appliance, kind of like a toaster, and the quantum brain, because quantum brains do better on a healthy breakfast of quantum toast. I am a dad. All right. The quantum simulator. Thank you, fellow parents. The quantum simulator is like a wind tunnel that's used to model flight or try out new airplane designs. Quantum simulators do the same thing, but they make direct models of photosynthesis and nitrogen fixation so we can get off fossil fuel energy, we don't starve, and my boys can eat Doritos indefinitely. The quantum brain uses pathways of computing that resemble our brain and may solve the general computing resource problem. Quantum computers will be a QPU, or quantum processing unit, like the GPU, or graphics processing unit that makes your PlayStation amazing. Only instead of playing Witcher and Grand Theft Auto, we'll save billions of people from horrible deaths. We'll probably eat fewer snacks during the process, but we'll all still definitely be stoned. Finally, quantum states are fragile but beautiful, like spider webs. Fragile states are Google's quantum supremacy result, yes, Google, just barely worked and can't yet go further. In fact, the calculation falls apart after just a few steps. It's like that great relationship that lasts 5 days, then suddenly you realize you can't stand each other. We're using complex quantum states modeled on living systems like brains to make robust calculations that will run 50 to 100 steps. Just imagine 50 dates and you still like how they chew their toast in the morning. And that's how quantum entanglement will save the world, one relationship at a time.
Dr. Lincoln Carr, everyone, make some noise. Nice job, man. You're natural, that was great. You had a very good flow and cadence, and I haven't seen this audience care about anything as much as hating coconut cream. You really got, that was the biggest reaction of the night. Who knew? Really split the room in half. Quantum computing is an endless orgy?
Yeah, man.
Fuck. That's what I said. That's just a cool sentence to say, and I felt like saying it. Quantum supremacy, I don't know if you know this, is the name of the new Fast and the Furious film that's coming out soon.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
really?
it's space quantum supremacy. No, but it sounds I also thought it was really clever. You got a groan of a joke and you went, I am a dad, and it turned into an applause break, which is the quickest, like, bottoming to top of the mountain that I've ever seen. So nice.
Thank you.
I might have to steal that one. Great set, buddy. Nice work.
Thanks, man.
So now we're going to bring in another presenter over on the Zoom. I like how this goes, you know? Again, it's very trippy, and I'm enjoying these performers knowing that they're at their little homes in California, and they get to listen to us drunken, rowdy Denverites out here in the Mile High City. I think we're setting a very good example. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So now, this performer has got his PhD in materials, science, and engineering, and that's from the University of California-Irvine. And you know that's our sponsor tonight. They're fabulous over there.
Shout out California-Irvine. Sorry I couldn't attend despite your recruitment.
Hell yeah, California-Irvine in the house! On the Zoom, I guess. In the Zoom room. Now, he's been a lecturer at UCLA, UCI. He works on trying to solve the problems of phase changes in ceramics so that he can keep jet engine turbines from melting. So he's going to tell us a little bit more about that. Are you guys ready? Let's meet Dr. Amir Saidi!
Hi, Colorado. Thanks for having me. My name is Amir, and I'm from Iran. Not Iran, Iran. So where I'm coming from, you know that as the Middle East or the region of conflict. You know, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan. But I got body searched, okay? No worries. But it doesn't hurt. Please just look around and locate the nearest exit to yourself. I'm a material scientist and engineer. The issue with my major is that people don't really know what we do. So in parties, they say, hey, Amir, what do you do? And I reply, have you seen an airplane? And they say, so you're a mechanical engineer. And how can they do that to me? So how can they neglect my identity? I pull the dagger out of my chest and say, no. And they continue, so you're a chemical engineer. No, I'm a material scientist and engineer. I don't know why they look shocked and afraid after a shout. So, is material science a thing? Yes, it's a thing. Whatever you use is made up of a material, right? So your cell phones, your shoes, your breast implants. It's not a thing, it's everything, right? My work as a material scientist is turbine engine in jets. So in jet engines, the temperature is around 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But the melting temperature of the material that we use there is around 2,300 Fahrenheit. So how do they operate at the temperature that is higher than the melting temperature? So that's us, the material scientists. So we do magic and alchemy to make that happen. So just like alchemists that have their rituals, we also have our own rituals. So what we do, we basically mix the stuff, treat them, cook them, boil them, quench them, roll them, electrify them, press them, pull them, watch them, hit them, break them, melt them, vaporize them. You know, it's just like BDSM, but with aluminum. You didn't know that? Metallurgy is an orgy. It's metal orgy, right? So what I mix, treat, cook, boil, quench, roll, electrify, press, pull, watch, heat, melt, and vaporize are two ceramics that are called yttria and zirconia. So ceramics are compounds that are made up of a metal and a gas. Okay, for example, yttria is an oxide of a metal called yttrium, and zirconia is the oxide of a metal called zirconia. You see, it's easy to name the metals. Magnesium becomes magnesia, vanadium becomes vanadia, cerium becomes ceria, and it's highly explosive. So we mix the ceramics and call that elixir yttria stabilized zirconia. In another ritual, which we call thermal spray coating, we apply a thin layer of this material on the turbine blades. And voila, your turbine blades are protected at 3,000 Fahrenheit because of that thin layer. So it basically protects the blade from the harsh environment of the atmosphere in the turbines. Atoms in this elixir sit next to each other in the boxes, and we call those boxes crystals. The crystals can have different shapes and volumes. So as the atoms are watching the flames inside the turbine, these atoms think to themselves, oh boy, it's too hot. We need to change the boxes and the shape of our boxes so that we can stay stable. But they cannot agree on the shape. So some of them, they say, we want something simple that we can understand. Cube is good. Okay. Those are the conservative ones. But some say, no, we want something more exciting and dynamic. And those are the young and progressive ones. They say we want something rectangular with taller walls that they call tetragonal, okay? And it should transform to something else as it cools down. And they call that monoclinic. Cubic, tetragonal, and monoclinic. We material scientists call them the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if the atoms change volume as they go from one box to another box, as they change shape, they change volume, right? And if this change in volume is huge, the coating is going to break and weaken, and then the blade will melt. So cubes are good. So they don't go that much under that much volume change, and they're good. Tetragonal is okay. So, and that's a little bit bad. So that's the bad. But monoclinic, they have a real change in volume, and that's just ugly. So I study how to make these boxes stable and they keep their initial shape. Okay, not by mixing, treating, cooking, boiling, quenching, rolling, electrifying, pressing, pulling, watching, heating, melting, and vaporizing them. I'm a modern alchemist. So what I do, I just use computer simulations. I mix the compounds in computer, and that's much cheaper and cleaner. And I can work from home, in my pajamas, in my bed, with my Persian cat next to me, the Iranian cat. Right? So we need to make it difficult for atoms to move. And we hypothesize that we can do that by adding a new element such as strontium. So imagine children in a classroom, a crowded classroom, that there is no empty chair. So the students cannot change their seat. So what the strontium does is that it takes up all the empty chairs in the boxes and doesn't let the atoms change places. So next time that you're flying on a plane, just remember that material science is what is keeping atoms playing sudden death musical chair. And then you can think, and you can look at those non-melted engines and remember your friendly Iranian material scientists and make sure that you locate the closest exit to yourself. Thank you so much.
Dr. Amir Saeedi, nice job, buddy.
Thank you.
How'd that feel?
I did it.
You did it. You absolutely did it. And they loved it. And you're the second scientist in a row to say his field is like an orgy. So I really love what's going on in this show tonight. Well, are you relieved that you're done with it now, or are you going to take some of this and do it again?
I won't mind continuing that. I'm liking that.
Well, nice job, man. Very well done.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your first set in front of a live audience.
Thank you.
Hey, Fanny, you want to come back on? Let's start on to the next comedian. You're on.
My goodness. Hello. Thank you. Amir Saeedi. Wow. This final presenter, well, she happens to, she's a PhD candidate, and she's very smart, but she likes to take her time. Literally. Time is what she studies, you guys. She gives it, she takes her time. Are you ready for this? Let's meet her. Give a lot of love, all the way from California, it's Anne Catherine Burns!
Hey guys, so my name's Anne Catherine, and I will be serving as your resident liberal snowflake from California today. I love crystals, and as you can probably tell from my outfit, I will absolutely judge you for being a Sagittarius. I'm also a physicist. So when my Tinder matches inevitably inform me that I don't look like a physicist, I like to play the dumb blonde card and just act super confused and ask them why over and over until they admit to themselves that the answer is sexism. Yeah. So let's make it stand that I'm actually pretty qualified. Chad, the polo shirt wearing trust fund baby, tends to get a little insecure about his masculinity and runs away. But the thing is, honestly, Chad, if you're listening, you can do physics. And for all of you not Chads out there, if Chad can do physics, you guys can definitely do physics. I'm going to tell you today about Einstein's theory of special relativity. Sounds hard, right? Actually, it's super easy. I think I have about 4 minutes left here in this set, so I'm going to explain the entire thing in 4 minutes. Here we go. Here's something true and completely whack. Time literally slows down for you when you move. Of course, at a running pace, the change is imperceptible, but it's there. Unless you're me, running away from the date that I went on last night. 6'1"? Really, Kevin? Are you sure about that, bud? We experience time as being linear, but in reality, it's not. Most of us think of time in terms of examples from our everyday life. Your pre-bedtime TikTok compilation take about 2 hours to turn off. Your high school boyfriend fingering you for 30 seconds and then asking you if you came took 30 seconds. See? You're already thinking like a movie. We don't measure things in time. We measure them in rate. Heart rate, the rate at which planets move around the sun, and the rate of a late night high school trip in a Walmart parking lot. Here's an example of Einstein's whole time is relative thing. It's called the twin paradox. Remember the movie The Parent Trap? I love that movie, but honestly, it would have been better with some interstellar travel. Okay, so let's pretend that you're Lindsay Lohan and your twin is Lindsay Lohan. So your twin stays on Earth while you go to visit your dad who lives in another solar system. The trip takes you 1 year, but when you return home, you find that your twin has aged 2 years. At first, you think this is a mistake, but then you notice some fine lines and wrinkles on your twin's face while yours is still perfectly wrinkle-free. Interplanetary divorce trumps your twin's $88 Estee Lauder anti-aging revitalizer. You come back to the middle part. You have experienced an age 1 year on the trip. Your twin has experienced an age 2 years on Earth. Time has, quite literally, moved more slowly for you while you've been traveling in the rocket. This effect is known as time dilation, and we've measured it here on Earth in a real way. So, for those of you who were zoned out through pretty much all of high school, I would love if you would zone in, because I'm going to describe the theory of relativity in one sentence. Okay? Here it is. It's a little long, so listen up. Nothing is allowed to go faster than light. Therefore, space and time have to change when an object is moving super fast to accommodate for this constraint. I'm gonna let that settle in for a sec. Okay, cool. The universe is really serious about the speed limit. It's kind of like Dr. Fauci trying to get Republicans to wear masks, but in physics, it actually works. When something, like a rocket, approaches the speed of light, space and time change so that the rocket is still traveling more slowly than the light particles around it. It's the rate of travel that's slower relative to the changed space and time, which is how we get the title Theory of Relativity. So, for better or for worse, believe it or not, time literally moves more slowly when you speed up. The thing I'm trying to figure out now is, if time moves more slowly when we speed up, time should slow down. I'm now even getting it wrong in my head. If time, wait, hold on, okay. So time slows down when we move. So then when we sit, time should go more slowly, right? So why the heck did 2020 take so long? That's time. Thanks, guys.
And Catherine Burns, everyone. Nice job, man.
Thank you.
And as a non-Chad, I think I understood most of what you were saying. But I love the title's perfect. Time is crazy. That's just like the perfect tone for what you were bringing.
It's whack. It's literally crazy.
Did doing that kind of create the spark? Do you want more of that high, or are you like, I don't ever want to do this again?
Oh, I love being on stage. I could totally see a career for myself with like performing and teaching people about physics in this kind of way. So maybe this is a little launch point for me.
There you go. Nice. We'll keep it going. Everybody. Nice job.
Thank you.
She was fantastic, wasn't
She was great. She was doing a great job.
Tonight has been a fabulous ride with you guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this new frontier into virtual and in-person entertainment. What do you think? You like it? What? comedians from all over the country. Now, before we can close out the show, though, our Science Riot in-house fact checker is here tonight to basically issue a few little corrections, little notes, okay? This is a database engineer who happens to moonlight as a Science Riot comedian fact checker. Now, this is in interest of staying scientific, being correct in all of our information, and so we always like to close the night making sure that we are paying our due respects to science. Are you ready for this character to come to the stage? Welcome, Dan Weflin!
Hello. The first correction is that I am not a database engineer. I'm just a software engineer. I don't work on databases. Yang Ji Yang talked about flash sintering, but like every time I flash a pile of metal oxide powder, it doesn't sinter, and I just get a ticket for indecent exposure. Kelsey Barcombe talked about how she was involved in a large number of very intense Risk games, and I think really in this case you just need to stop playing Risk and start playing like horribly complicated board games, right? Like there's a game I've played called High Frontier, and the way it works is that it takes 3 hours to explain the rules, and then everyone else leaves, and you win. Lily Lee talked about how your genetic code is 3 billion letters long, but it only uses 4 letters. It wouldn't be that hard to generate an instruction manual for a human that's 3 billion letters long and only uses 4 letters. You could just write the word fuck 750 million times. Charlie Smith said, that you could use armpit cells and make them into stem cells and you could put them in your brain. But I would warn you that if you take armpit cells and you use them to like run your brain, then you end up with a personality that's like mine. Aditya Singh talked about how his wife is always mad that he is forgetting lemons. There's a really simple trick to this, right? You go to Costco and you buy like 35 lemons, right? And you do this once every couple of weeks for about a year, and then she will never be mad that you didn't bring lemons ever again. Kelly Malott said that all penises are basic, but like, even if it is, you can put like decals on the side, or like, or get like a sounding rod with a maraschino cherry. Lincoln Carr talked about quantum supremacy, but I would like to point out that the quantum supremacy was only achieved on a problem that was specifically designed to be easy for quantum computers and difficult for classical computers. Basically, you take a bunch of bosonic wave functions and you put them in a big Slater permanent, and you just pick random things from that, which is easy for even a noisy quantum computer to do. That's not funny, but I mean, that's what you get for doing a topic on something that I actually kind of know something about. Amir Siedi talked about, that he was doing BDSM for aluminum, but that's, like, all BDSM is just BDSM for aluminum, right? Like, you're always saying things like, oh yeah, you're sharing your electrons around like a slut, and shaking it to make thunder sounds. And Catherine Burns talked about how time slows down when you move. And that's part of the reason I used to exercise, but then I realized that I'm always in the same reference frame as myself. And I don't want to I want to live longer, not see more of the horrible future, right? And that is all of my corrections. Thank you.
Mr. Dan Wafflin, ladies and gentlemen!
Thank you for Dan, that was great.
Well, now we know. Now we know. We want to thank you guys for coming out tonight and giving support and giving a lot of love to these performers on their first time adventure with comedy. We want to thank the Oriental Theater. Thank you for having us. Thank you to Tyler and Tech for trusting us and giving us this opportunity to take this hybrid to the people. We want to thank our sponsors again, the University of California-Irvine, the STEM GPS program, Badass. You know they get the support from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and of course the Syracuse University. What? Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for supporting us. Let's give it up for Mr. Adam Caden Holland. What?
Thanks, everybody. Make some noise for Fanny Swink. He's your host the whole evening.
And thank you to all of our performers, both in person and on the Zoom. You guys were fantastic tonight. And thank you to the audience for coming out and for giving love and for supporting us, okay? Oh, please check out sciencelive.org.